I've been in Kenya, so our people are dying in a refugee camp. Nobody respecting us because of what is going on. We are like a toy. So people are not respecting us because we are killing ourselves all the time. Our people dying. What are we doing? Let's be like Abraham who prayed for Sodom and Gomorrah. Please, God said that the murderer, the sinner, are not going to enter to the kingdom. If you are a killer, then you have nowhere you can be welcome in the kingdom of God. And if you are ambassador, you will be held accountable for what you are doing. So you guys who are representing us, this is our voice, and we are suffering. And this suffering, it will get into your children. We will remember you for what you have done. If you are not talking about the peace that we told you to do, we will remember you for what you have done. You will be held accountable. Remember, there will be election coming. And then those whom we will love are those who are talking about peace, peace, peace. We need peace.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good afternoon. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The medical charity MSF has permanently shut down its hospital in Ulang County, Upper Nile State, following a violent looting incident that forced the suspension of services nearly 2 months ago. Civil society activist Edmond Yakani has decried the deteriorating humanitarian conditions of internally displaced persons in Panyume Payam of Morobo County in Central Equatoria State. And the Ministry of Mining has raised concerns over increased smuggling of minerals, including gold, from South Sudan, saying this has become a major challenge to the Ministry of Mining. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Barry Johnson, and now the news in detail. The medical charity MSF has permanently shut down its hospital in Ulang County, Upper Nile State, following a violent looting incident that forced the suspension of services nearly 2 months ago. The medical aid group also ended its support to 13 primary health facilities in the area due to ongoing security threats. MSF says armed men stormed the hospital and its offices on April 14th, looting drugs and equipment worth over 135,000 euros and destroying the facility's infrastructure. The attackers also threatened staff and patients. Zakaria Matiwa, MSF head of mission in South Sudan, described what led the closure of the hospital.
They took everything, medical equipment, laptops, patient beds and mattresses from the wards, and approximately 9 months worth of medical supplies, including 2 plane loads of surgical kits and drugs delivered just a week before. Whatever they could not carry, they destroyed. The extensive losses from the looting has left us without the necessary resources to continue operations. We have no other option but to make the difficult decision to close the hospital and our support to 13 primary healthcare facilities, as they all relied on the hospital for medical supplies, referrals, and technical support.
The attack marked the second incident targeting MSF in the region this year. In January, gunmen opened fire on 2 MSF boats traveling from Nasir to Ulang, forcing staff to jump into the river and swim to safety. MSF also suspended operations in Old Fangak in May after a separate bombing hit its hospital there. The closure of the Ulang hospital has left thousands of people without access to secondary health care in a stretch covering over 200 kilometers from the Ethiopian border to Malakal. Health facilities in Malakal are reportedly overwhelmed as patients from Ulang and surrounding areas seek treatment. MSF described the closure as a difficult but necessary decision, citing the lack of security and the destruction of vital resources needed to continue operations.
The security situation in the area remains volatile. With the ongoing clashes in the neighboring regions, MSF prioritizes the safety of its staff and patients and the integrity of our services. But The current environment makes it impossible to ensure either. We are deeply concerned by the growing trend of attacks on healthcare and the devastating impact this has on communities. We urgently call for the protection of patients, healthcare workers, and medical facilities at all times.
Since 2018, MSF's Ulang project has provided critical health services to over 150,000 people, including more than 139,000 outpatient consultations, over 32,000 malaria treatments, and nearly 2,700 deliveries. MSF says it will continue supporting vulnerable population in Upper Nile through mobile emergency teams, particularly along the Subat corridor, depending on access and security. The organization is still operational in Malakal and Reng counties. Civil society activist Edmond Yakani has decried the deteriorating humanitarian conditions of internally displaced persons in Panyume Payam of Morobo County in Central Equatoria State. On June 3, 2025, a journalist based in Morobo said thousands of South Sudanese refugees along the Ugandan border with Morobo County were forced to return to South Sudan following a 3-day operations by the Ugandan army. Vita Henry, a journalist who worked at Morobo FM, said those who fled had settled in refugee camps inside Uganda's Koboko district following violence in 2016. However, due to harsh living conditions and cuts in food aid, many abandoned the camps and instead settled along the border. According to Henry, weeks ago, insecurity intensified along the common border between Morobo County in South Sudan and Koboko district in Uganda. In response, Ugandan authorities launched a crackdown and forcefully removed the South Sudanese refugees and transported them by lorry to a camp. However, some refugees who do not want to return to the camps ran to Morobo County. They are now settled near a primary health care unit in Nyaringolo village in Panyume Payam. Activist Yakani said the situation of the returnees is disturbing as this came at a time there is no adequate humanitarian assistance.
I would like to take this opportunity with the tears falling out of my eye and with worries and with disturbance in my heart to see a South Sudanese population in Morobo County of Central Equatoria State as a result of the recent political instability in the area around Panyume, and people have to again run back for refuge in Uganda, and Uganda they have to be pushed back with the system of Ugandan authority to try to rearrange how displacement is done. And it's a displacement at a moment where there's no adequate humanitarian assistance, and our people fear to go to camps that they may not get food ratio, and their access to farming in foreign country is limited. Look at what we have done to our own common people whom we claim that one day we will govern them as leaders. Our citizens are suffering as if their vote for independence is a curse.
Yakani is calling on well-wishers to extend support to the displaced population in Panyume Payam of Morobo County in Central Equatoria State. He is urging donations of clothing, medical supplies, and iron sheets to help build shelters for those affected.
Appealing to South Sudanese of good wishes that SEPO as an organization, we have launched a campaign to assist this population with second-hand clothes, with whatever you can contribute, utensils, and if there are any other people who are ready to volunteer with this community in terms of medical services, we appeal to you. Reach out to us as a Community Empowerment for Progress organization through our contacts, through our website. We are ready to receive from you any second-hand contribution, being it clothes, being it utensils, to make our people, being it even iron seats for their shelters, to help our people who are suffering. I know South Sudanese everywhere are suffering like this. This is not only the suffering population.
The Ministry of Mining has raised concerns over increased smuggling of minerals, including gold, from South Sudan, saying this has become a major challenge to the Ministry of Mining. Mathiok Santino Akwe and the Secretary in the Ministry of Mining said the illicit trade is affecting the performance of the ministry and must be addressed. He urged law enforcement agencies and all relevant stakeholders to report any suspicious activities related to mineral smuggling. Akwe said the Ministry of Mining has the sole mandate to license all gold and mineral exports. He warned that any exportation of minerals without proper authorization is a violation of the law and can lead to arrest and prosecution of violators. Akwe added that the ministry yesterday held a meeting with national and international partners to combat the issue and protect South Sudan's natural resources.
Smuggling for gold, precious minerals in the Republic of South Sudan become a great challenge that is underpinning the performance, and it has become a major challenge to Ministry of Mines. We call all the relevant stakeholders, partners, our government, law enforcement agents, to ensure that any mineral being smuggled in has to be reported to the relevant authority. A Ministry of Mining has a mandate and role to give a license to a gold and other minerals that are relevant to be exported outside the country. So therefore, we have held this meeting to discuss on how we can handle the issues pertaining the smuggling in Juba International Airport. Those who fail or non-compliance will be apprehended and the law will take its role.
Meanwhile, John Woja Elinana, Director General of the South Sudan Civil Aviation, confirmed that security agencies have recently intercepted gold, uniforms, and even weapons being transported illegally. Woja says these cases have been handed over to the National Security for investigation. He emphasized the need for all travelers to comply with legal procedures, especially when transporting minerals or other sensitive goods. He warned that travels not to attempt to travel with unapproved goods, including gold or arms. He called on export to respect the law and go through the right channels, and that the government will not tolerate smuggling. The crackdown signals the government's growing commitment to strengthen oversight in the mining sector and curb illicit trade that deprives the nation of critical revenue.
Of recent, we have arrested gold, even uniforms and some arms, and they are all reported to the Security for investigation. We have reinforced our manpower by enhancing their capacity to ensure that every person going through our airports must follow the procedure. Therefore, I want to inform the public that do not move with smuggled goods. Follow the law. If you are dealing in gold mining or other business, you must follow the procedure, the law in South Sudan. Do not come with your gold or any other dangerous goods that are not approved by the government.
You are listening to iRadio Afternoon News. President Salva Kiir has appointed a new general manager of the South Sudan Electricity Corporation. In a presidential decree read on state television Monday evening, the president named Joseph Kurajak as the new head of the power company. He replaces Bek Awan Deng, who was relieved from the position. In another decree, Deng was reappointed as technical advisor in the Ministry of Energy and Dams. The decrees did not explain the reason behind the reshuffle in the electricity sector. However, the changes come shortly after President Kiir ordered a review of the power purchase agreement between the government and Ezra Construction and Development Group Company. Last month, the president formed a committee led by the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Energy and Dams to review the 100-megawatt power plant and distribution project in Juba, which was signed with Ezra. According to the decree, the review follows public concerns over the high cost of electricity. The president said it is the government's duty to make sure that South Sudanese people have access to reliable and affordable electricity. The Chief Executive Officer of Radio Jungle 95.9 FM says the radio station has temporarily been shut down by security personnel after a traditional war song aired on the radio. Tijuak Agwed confirmed that the station was closed on Sunday. Speaking to iRadio this morning, Agwed stated that the song which aired on Friday was linked to one of the communities involved in the recent clashes in Duk and Twitch areas.
On Sunday, I decided to come so that I can be here when they go on Monday.
So while I'm on the way coming to Bor, then they called me that the security personnel came here and they closed the station. They took the key, they closed the studio and the transmitter room and the production room. But they left other places open. Then they took the keys with them and they didn't take anybody. And they asked that they let your boss come and let you guys come to the station, to the office of the National Security in Bor on Monday. So this is exactly what we did.
Aguet said he was contacted by the National Security Director who raised concern over the song. He then instructed his staff to remove it immediately from the playlist. Aguet said he explained to the security official that the song aired automatically through a playlist when no staff was present in the studio. Despite his explanation, Aguet said the security authorities summoned the station manager and some journalists to appear for questioning on Monday. He said while on his way to Bor on Sunday, he was informed that the studio was locked, plus the transmitter room and the production rooms. No one was arrested. Aguet said the song was part of an old playlist that includes music from different communities and it aired at a sensitive time when recent violence had claimed lives in Jonglei State. He denied reports that the station had been raided, equipment confiscated, or staff arrested.
I want to repeat the information that has gone on air, that saying that the radio has been attacked and raided and the equipment are sophisticated. Of the institution, or maybe phone and computer. This and people have been arrested. That is totally lie, and it's not true. It's baseless. We are here. Even if I talk now, we are in the station. We are doing the studio is off and it's closed, but all the activities are going on. We are running a training now on the journalists and the listeners clubs that are going on. And all the stuff that I talk about, they're all here with me, attending the function.
And finally, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has announced that the German and Norwegian embassies in Juba have resumed operations with limited staff following a temporary closure of more than 2 months. In a press statement released on Monday, June 9th, the Foreign Affairs Ministry welcomed the reopening of the embassies of Norway and the Federal Republic of Germany and the Republic of South Sudan following the brief closure. The ministry stated that this development reflects the continued strength of the bilateral relations and the shared commitment of both countries to maintaining close diplomatic engagements, which South Sudan is fully committed to taking further. In the same month, the Norwegian Foreign Ministry announced a temporary shutdown of its embassy in South Sudan's capital, Juba, due to growing fears about the country's worsening security, saying the safety of diplomatic staff could no longer be guaranteed. Before the resumption of operations in South Sudan, Norway's foreign ministry had temporarily relocated its embassy functions to Nairobi, Kenya. Meanwhile, the German embassy was operating from Berlin during the closure of its mission in Juba. Announcing the reopening of the two embassies in Juba on Monday, June 9th, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation said the move reflects strong bilateral ties and a shared commitment to deepening diplomatic engagement. You are listening to iRadio Afternoon News, and now to the regional and international news with my colleague Helen Samuel.
Good afternoon. Here are some of the stories making headlines in the international arena. India's Coast Guard is continuing efforts to douse a fire on a Singapore-flagged cargo ship in the Arabian Sea near the coast of the southern state of Kerala. MV1 High 503, which was heading to India's Mumbai city from Sri Lanka's Colombo, reported an internal container explosion on Monday, resulting in a major fire on board. 18 crew members have been rescued while 4 are still missing. Singapore has sent a team to assist in the rescue efforts. Elsewhere, dozens of people have been arrested in Los Angeles after immigration raids in the city triggered 4 days of protests. The demonstrations began on Friday after it emerged Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) officers were carrying out raids in parts of Los Angeles with a large Latino population. The BBC's US partner CBS News reported that operations took place in the Westlake district and in Paramount, south of Los Angeles, where the population is more than 82% Hispanic. Finally, Russia has launched one of its strikes on Kyiv, injuring 4 people and causing widespread damage across 7 of the capital's 10 districts, officials said. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky said Russia launched 315 drones overnight across the country. Further south, in the port city of Odessa, 2 people were killed after drone attacks hit residential buildings and medical facilities, including a maternity ward, officials said. Zelensky later said 13 people had also been injured there. For now, those are some of the stories making headlines around the globe.
Thank you, Helen. And now to the sports news with Lasuba Memo.
Thanks, Barry Johnson. In the world of sports, the world's largest island, which has never played competitive international football, has a population of 57,000 and is a sovereign territory of Denmark, but is geographically part of North America. It is unable to join UEFA because the European governing country is recognized by the United Nations, but there is no such requirement for CONCACAF, which governs North and Central America and the Caribbean. Greenland plays non-FIFA sanctioned friendlies, but hopes of competitive international football for the first time were dashed at a meeting in Miami before the Gold Cup. President Donald Trump has made repeated calls for the US to take control of the territory, which has caused outrage in both Denmark and Greenland. A Wales football fan has been hurt after falling from the stands during Monday night's World Cup qualifier in Belgium. Scott Rees, 29, fell from the upper tier into the lower tier at the King Baudouin Stadium in Brussels. He was treated at the scene before being taken to hospital in Brussels. It is believed Ms. Rees fell during celebrations among the 4,500 travelling fans when Wales equalised with a third goal. Andy Murray is open to a return to coaching at some stage, but says he still has plenty to learn about the role. The 38-year-old who retired from tennis at the 2024 Olympics joined long-time rival Novak Djokovic coaching team last November. However, the pair parted company in May 2025 after just 4 tournaments together, with former number 1 Djokovic stating that he couldn't get more out of their partnership. That's all in the world of sports. Back to you, Barry Johnson.
Thank you, Memo. This is iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. The medical charity MSF has permanently shut down its hospital in Ulang County, Upper Nile State, following a violent looting incident that forced the suspension of services nearly 2 months ago. Civil society activist Edmond Nyakani has decried the deteriorating humanitarian conditions of internally displaced persons in Panyume Payam of Morobo County in Central Equatoria State. And the Ministry of Mining has raised concerns over increased smuggling of minerals, including gold, from South Sudan, saying this has become a major challenge to the Ministry of Mining. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. If there is a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Baria Johnson. Thanks for listening.